Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my co-ordinator commentary, Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And tonight, guys, was a huge episode of Lucha Underground because we got in one night the Cueto Cup Finals between Prince Puma, or Dark Puma, as I like calling him, and Pentagon Dark, as well as the much-anticipated Lucha Underground Championship match between Johnny Mundo and Rey Mysterio. Now, we did get, also a mask versus mask match, but we'll talk about that, and one cinematic, which is very hilarious and kind of played into the finish of the world title match. But on the whole, I'd say a very enjoyable episode of Lucha Underground. I'm always going to be more partial to episodes with my boy Mundo on them, especially with him being the man right now as world champion. So I had a great time with this. But if you want a more unbiased perspective, maybe a more focused perspective, let's hand it over to my cohort and commentary. Ashton, what did you think of tonight's episode?
See, John, your first mistake was assuming that I would be unbiased in this match. I can't stand Rey Mysterio. I've never been able to stand Rey Mysterio, so naturally I do have a pretty strong anti-Mysterio pro-Mundo bias in this match. And yeah, this match was everything I hoped it would be, and then some, because Mundo won. Yeah,
he did! God, nothing is ever going to be sexier than the sound of that sentence. Mundo won. Just everything about that is so right. But partner, let me ask you though, again, toning it down, because I got most of it, like a good 90% of it out of my system in live reactions, which you should all check out because I lost my shit again. What'd you think of like the rest of the show, particularly the Cueto Cup final? Because I feel like that's going to be the most conversational between the two of us tonight.
Well, my thing, dude, I got to tell you, I've noticed, and it's kind of an unfortunate trend, but I've noticed that when Lucha Underground builds up to a show like this, where it really is kind of booked and portrayed more as like a pay-per-view almost, like a televised pay-per-view, I seem to enjoy these episodes less than your normal episodes that are more storyline driven than match driven. Because I'm such a sucker for the story aspect of Lucha Underground that when they build to these shows that's like match after match after match, and really on this entire show, we had one cinematic and that is it. And that kills my soul. I die without Lucha Underground cinematics in my life, and we only had one tonight, and it's really unfortunate. And I mean, the two matches that were supposed to be good were good, but even then, I felt like Puma Pentagon was highly underwhelming, and it felt anticlimactic the way it ended. And I'm sure that there's a reason for that. It definitely felt like there was a story being told, and it maybe even seemed like Pentagon wasn't trying his hardest to win. But yeah, Puma really dominated him, and then in the main event we had a much more even contest, but even then that kind of did end up devolving into kind of a clusterfuck,
and it may be an unpopular opinion, and you may even disagree with this, but even though I thoroughly enjoyed tonight's episode, and I'm not redacting that, I will say when you look at on paper what we were promised tonight, I'm like, you know what? Episodes like this are exactly why because I know you would say it, like, especially I feel like when we were covering season 2, it was more of a vocal point of commentary for you, that Lucha Underground should be an hour and a half. If not 2 hours, at least an hour and a half. Because I feel like the extra time would have definitely helped the Cueto Cup Finals match a little bit. Because I'm right there with you. Like, these two guys, even if you just put them in a vacuum and you focus solely on their merits in the tournament, these two guys, by that virtue alone, should be two of the best in the temple. And Puma just gets the 630 straight off. Now, I agree with you. It seemed like a bigger story was being told, especially in the post-match when you have, Vampiro come out and Pentagon's looking back and all that stuff. But I look at episodes like what we got tonight, and I'm like, you know what? This was so good, but man, it could have benefited if it had a little bit of extra time to work with, because with an hour, you can only do so much with an hour, and we always talk about how fast they fly by. And with that little bit of extra time, I think that would have helped the episode as a whole breathe a bit better, which could have changed our overall perception of what was put out tonight. But that's just my 2 cents. It was definitely something.
You know what, though? I think that's why I'm so excited about Ultima Lucha Trace, because it's more than an hour. It's basically 5 hours, because I don't know. It's either going to be 4 or 5 hours, but I know it's going to be 4 episodes. And it's just a question then of whether the last episode is a 2-hour special or not. But regardless, It's got that long form feel to it over the course of 4 weeks, and that's actually something that I kind of want WWE to start doing, where they, nowadays their SummerSlam is 6 hours, Royal Rumble is 7 hours, WrestleMania is 8 hours. It's just way over the top. And I definitely think that they would benefit from spreading those out over multiple days rather than trying to do it all in one night the way that they've been doing. And even if it would kick the NXT TakeOver show to a day before, that's still Friday night. And it's still one of those situations where people don't have work or school the next day, so they would still be inclined to do it.
Exactly, yeah. They don't have work or school the next day. And even if they did have priorities the Friday, at least you still get the real meat off the bone, the Saturday following. And I agree with you. Like that's why I love Lucha Underground's Ultima Lucha format, is because, yeah, it is going to be like 4 or 5 hours of content, but it's going to be spread out where we're not fatigued. If anything, we're going to be wanting more even beyond that. And I definitely think it's the way of the future, which is why I want these guys to get more time for their television product, because I know it wouldn't be abused. I know that they would know to really like how to maximize it. And again, bringing it full circle, I felt like an episode like tonight's could have really used it. But with that said, I mean, those are all my preliminary remarks. Unless you have any you want to make, we can get right into the actual review here.
Yeah, let's get into it, man. Let's get right into it. We start things off with our first match of the night, which is the Luchas Despuestas. It's Veneno versus Sexy Star, Mask versus Mask.
Yeah, and really not much of a match here. Sexy's very aggressive in the early going, and I kind of noted on live reactions, and I always have my stuff muted when we do live reactions, so I'm curious if commentary made a similar point, that Sexy has been a bit more aggressive recently. She got herself disqualified in the Cueto Cup, and after that disqualification, she knocked the referee out. And I don't know if she's going to be having a Ruda turn or what the hell is going on with her. That's one of the more like undercard stories, I guess you could call it, that I'm intrigued in. But the referee's like backing her off, like saying, hey, Sexy, and I'm thinking we may even have a repeat of her recent behavior. But then Joey Ryan comes out of nowhere, rips the mask off of Veneno, exposes him as Cortez Castro, aka Officer Reyes. And, the match just gets thrown out because it devolves into a brawl between Castro and Ryan that ends with Castro. It looks like he's either going to pile drive or powerbomb Ryan through the table, but Ryan gets the low blow and he flees. So, yeah.
Joey used sleazeball.
Exactly. The peg on payroll, Joey Ryan. So, I can't even say it's a bad match or a good match because it was barely even a match. I feel like this was more to serve a greater narrative purpose of Castro's been outed now. And by the way, folks, and this is something I wish I would have brought up on live reactions. It's kind of a cute little joke, but Castro did live through the episode. We didn't get any cinematic.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Yeah, he did live through the night, which makes this even more interesting because he's outed now. Cueto sees everything. There's no fucking way he missed that. There's no oh, maybe if I get the mask back. No, he's out in the open now. Question is, how long can he stay alive? I've really got nothing to say.
My question is if he even managed to make it out of the temple.
And then that's a curious thing, too. You got to wonder if maybe next week we're going to see, a cinematic with Castro, in Cueto's office, or Castro being summoned to, I don't know, face Matanza or some crap. But, yeah, I've really got nothing else to say beyond that, brother, because it wasn't really a match. I can't really say anything good about it again because it wasn't a match. Really, if I had to focus on the narrative side, at least it furthers the story. And I'm curious now that, Vasquez's pawn in play in Officer Reyes has been outed. What's going to happen to him and what's going to happen to her as a result. And really how this may affect, if at all, Katrina's plans to get the gauntlet. Because, Vasquez has a lot of pieces on the chessboard. And when one piece falls, sometimes that causes a domino effect, other times not. So I'm curious, in what instance this is going to be. And, Joey Ryan, he's definitely stayed in Cueto's pocket now, being able to do this, being able to prove without a shadow of a doubt Castro is still a problem. And, yeah, I've got nothing else to say. So what about you, man? Do you have any thoughts you want to give on this?
No, you pretty much covered it. It really does just kind of come down to whether Cortez is going to be able to make it out of the temple, because I'm confident that if he makes it out of the temple, he'll be able to make it to the LAPD and tell Vasquez that he's been kind of exposed. And maybe she'll be like, oh, well, you know what? You're fired. We can't afford to keep you on payroll. We're going to send you into witness protection or whatever the hell. And maybe just do what they can to just let him survive and not get murdered. We'll see. But yeah, it's unfortunate because Joey Ryan is the biggest scumbag imaginable now. And I kind of in a dark, kind of gross way, I kind of hope Castro sticks around long enough to beat the shit out of Joey Ryan.
And that may very well happen. And when we look at Cortez Castro's story through the seasons, like the first season, especially in light of this new information, if you watch the first season again, you could really see him as like this deep cover, kind of cop, trying to glean the evidence, gather the intel, et cetera, et cetera. Season 2, I believe, is where we have the revelation, because we did our Lucha rewatch recently of season 2, and I believe that was one of the cinematics there. And that's when we start looking at the character differently. And then, of course, he gets outed. Then he goes back as Veneno, but he's had a rough time. And now tonight he's been unmasked. So it's not that Reyes is to me, I think the story is, it's not that Reyes is a bad cop. Like, I know I love to laugh at him and joke, but obviously I'm more serious in this forum. It's not that he's a bad cop. It's that he's a competent cop in the midst of very bad circumstances. And, you just got to wonder if the circumstances will get worse, or with his back against the wall now, if Officer Reyes is going to find a way to make things better or close this chapter of his life out. So, yeah, I'm very curious what's going to happen, but I've got nothing else to say, so unless you do, we can move on.
All right, up next, we did have our cinematic of the night, the only one, and that was the Dario Cueto, Johnny Mundo, Benji interaction, where Mundo and Benji show up, they take their glasses off in unison, and then they make it clear that they don't want any chaos in the title defense like last week, and basically that if something goes down that causes Johnny to lose his title unfairly, he's leaving the promotion. And I think that this really did play into the main event, which actually makes the finish of the main event that much more apropos. But yeah, Johnny threatens to leave with the title, whether he loses it or not, if the loss is unfair in his eyes. And he basically just kind of says, yeah, like, this place needs me more than I need it. And then Dario proceeds to ban everyone on the roster from ringside, including Worldwide Underground.
Yeah, I mean, really, this cinematic, because I'm not going to gush too much over it, was a great cinematic. I love when Mundo and Cueto interact with each other. I've felt that way since season 1. Whether Mundo is a face, because Cueto's always going to be Cueto. So whether Mundo is a face or a heel, their chemistry is just on point together. And then you add Benji to the mix, and it's just magic to me. So I don't want to drone on and on about that, because everybody knows that it was great. I know that it was great. You know that it was great, whatever. But I think when you look at this now in the broader context, having had the title match, and I'm not even saying this is a Johnny Mundo mark, it is hard to fault Cueto for his actions. Because given why Cueto even interfered in the first place, like, that could very easily be construed as, by Mundo, I lost the title unfairly. So it's funny, like, when you hear this, and then you think about how the title match played out, it's like, I can't really come down on Cueto here. Even if I was that, like, Rey Mysterio fan, I might be grouchy about it, but it's like, man, I really wish, so-and-so hadn't gotten involved, and we'll get more in-depth about that when we get to the title match. But yeah, very interesting cinematic that really, and I love it too, because Lucha Underground's treated this world title match with such great care. Like, this is the title match of the season, save for our Ultima Lucha Trace main event, which we'll talk about that too, because that's going to be fucking amazing. And they even the playing field. Like, no, you're getting this world title match that we've built up through the narrations, through everything. Mano a mano, Mundo, Mysterio, one Lucha Underground champion. So yeah, I really love this cinematic as kind of the piece of garnish, if you will, on the plate of this title match, just to round everything out before really setting that table. And yeah, I thought it was really well done.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it was very well done. And in hindsight, I think I appreciate it even more than I did at the time because of how it played into the main event.
For sure. I completely agree with you, dude. Absolutely.
That said, though, we do have something else that happened between this and the main event, and that was the Cueto Cup Finals. Prince Puma, Pentagon Dark, and unfortunately, this really didn't live up to what I hoped it would. This wasn't even necessarily as good as their first match, where Puma won with the sort of backslide with his shoulders up.
Yeah, Ashton, I'm going to let you really take the floor on this one, because I know you were a bit disappointed in this match, and I can say to a degree I was as well, but I feel like I've been talking a lot in this review, so how about you take the reins on this one?
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, I had a certain expectation with this match. I thought that this match was going to be like one of those, I mean, you say fight forever all the time with Mundo and Puma. I thought that this was going to be a match that was going to draw that kind of ire from the crowd, where it was going to be like oh my God, if these guys do this all the time, every day, all day for, years to come, I would be happy. And it really just kind of felt like another match to me. It didn't feel special like I felt like it should have felt.
Yeah, yeah, I really have to agree with you there, dude. I don't know if, because see, here's the thing. There are two ways that you could look at this match, and I think both are equally valid. I think you could look at this just purely from the in-ring standpoint, which if you did, I think you get a lot of reactions like what you have and what I had. Like, wow, that ending seemed a bit rushed. It just seemed a bit whatever. Or, and this is me, again, just kind of with the trust that Lucha Underground has earned from me over the seasons, you can look at it narratively. You can say, okay, these are two people that Vampiro knows very well. Puma, his newest prospect, gets the win, comes in, raises the hand, and you see Pentagon just has that slight look back as he's leaving, and then he leaves. So these three can't be done with each other. And you have to imagine it's going to play into something big, add Ultima Lucha Trace, but for the first step in the bigger story, I would have liked more. But if this is the beginning of a longer rivalry, that match that you're talking about that draws that kind of reaction in the crowd, I'm still confident that match can happen. It just wasn't tonight, and that's kind of disappointing. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. That's fair. So, yeah, man, I mean, the match itself, I don't even feel like I have a lot to say about it just because, like, it was good, but it wasn't anything that was, crazy enough that I want to talk about it. There was a cool moment where Puma hit a kind of countered Pentagon because Pentagon, he loves his flip pile drivers, the Mexican Destroyer, and he hit one on Puma, and Puma actually hit one on him as well. And that was like the biggest wow moment of the match for me.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that was really cool back and forth. Like you said, Puma using Pentagon's like own Mexican Destroyer was really fucking awesome. I like the strike exchange between these two because I've just been in that like strike exchange kind of mood with all the wrestling I've been watching lately, and that was really cool. It's just I feel like I would have given these guys, and I know it's always said like in Iron Man matches when it's like a draw, whatever, like 5 more minutes, but I really would have given these guys 5 more minutes. Like I don't like, and I don't want to be overly nitpicky because again, I'm also trying to look at it from a narrative perspective and seeing if there's more to unearth there. But I really don't like that Puma was able to get off the 630 so easily. And even if somebody wants to say, well, it was preceded by a Frankensteiner, like I guess that's fair enough. But I don't know. I guess to me, what my problem is, Ashton? I want to see if you agree with me or not, because maybe I'm just alone in this. But I think to me, even if it's proven otherwise, like when Pentagon Dark comes out and just the aura and the vibe he gives off, he's this badass motherfucker to me, right? Like he's this guy that he'll break your bones, he'll beat your ass, and if you want to defend yourself and if you want to beat him outright, it's going to take everything you have and then some. I think my problem was I feel like Puma hadn't even given 100% at that point in the match. Like, I feel like maybe he was at best 70%, and he still had so much more to give, and Pentagon still lost. So maybe my problem is more how this makes Pentagon look and my perception of Pentagon going into this than more the match as a whole. Because I think, yeah, it should take a lot to beat Pentagon. It didn't feel like it took a lot from Puma. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Because, I mean, to be fair, he didn't even hit the Fire Thunder Driver in this,
Right, yeah. Yeah. It was just, again, Frankensteiner, which was preceded by him pointing at Vampiro, and then 630, which is also interesting because then maybe you can say, oh, well, is that just Vampiro's kind of dark magic, making Puma even stronger, and maybe without it, Pentagon Dark's become weaker, because he's been away from it for so long. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's a bigger narrative at play here. It's just we got to wait to see what it is, and this is just the first step. So I'm trying to look at it from that perspective. But yeah, this is in a vacuum, and I'm looking at it purely as a match, knowing how great these two are. This isn't the best you can do. I know these guys can have a match of the year contender if they really wanted to, and this just wasn't the right time, I guess. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. So, you know what? Before we get too annoyed with the match being as underwhelming as it was, let's just move on to a match that I would say was appropriately whelming. I would say that Rey Mysterio versus Johnny Mundo lived up to the expectations. It didn't necessarily surpass them, but it did live up to them. It was a very entertaining match, and it had a finish that was crazy, but when you really sit down and think about it, it made all the sense in the world, and they built to it perfectly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, first of all, Action, is that all you wanted to say about the match? Because I was going to give you the ball first, to be fair, but it seems like you kind of gave.
I feel like you've been giving me the ball on everything so far. Just take it. It's Mundo. We do this every time. Take the ball and run with it.
All right. Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to do my crit because, again, I already did that enough in live reactions, and my throat's killing me after that. So I'm not going to do my crazy over the top stuff. I will say, in all seriousness, I want to thank Ray for one, again, being totally serious for showing up. Because, like, we got to see him do stuff that he doesn't do in every match. Like, you said something very pointed in our live reactions. Like, Ray doesn't wrestle on Lucha Underground every week. And when he has these big matches, he'll pull these things out. Like in Ultima Lucha Dos, like he won that match with the top rope, kind of Dragon Rana to Puma.
Yeah.
And like we know that's a bitch on the knees. And he did a Dragon Rana to the outside tonight to Mundo. He did a Seat and Senton from...
the Dragon Rana he did to Mundo, though, it was like sideways. Like he didn't do like a straight, like vertical Dragon Rana like he did to Puma. So I think that does less damage to the knees, but still, I can't imagine it feels great.
Right. You know, like, I feel like Ray brought out the big guns. Johnny, again, trying to keep my praise more objective and single-minded here. To me, he's in a groove. I said it during commercials on our live reactions. I feel like for the past year or close to 2 years now at this point, like, he's just been having the best performances of his career. Like,
yeah,
when he finally decides to step down and say, I'm going to focus on acting full-time or this, that, whenever that is, like, his Lucha Underground work will be my favorite. For sure. Like, yeah, there are definitely some WWE gems in there. I'm not going to lie about that. And God knows what he'll do in Impact Wrestling, you know, GFW. But to me, Lucha Underground, just the way he's been used as a character, the matches he's had as a heel. Like, I got to see him do gorgeous super... I got to see him do an End of Heartache tonight, which I never thought I'd see him fucking do. So, like, he's always even surprising me. And I've been watching him for, like, 10 years now. So yeah, I feel like he's never been better than what he is right now. And the guy's like 37 years old. And you know, he's just owning it as champion. Here's the thing. Yeah, it broke down and it got crazy, but here's the thing. Like, if it was the first time that happened with a match this big, like I could understand people being annoyed, but this is Johnny Mundo's MO. Like the moment a little bit of chaos enters the scene, he is going to exploit the shit out of it unapologetically. And that's been what his whole world title reign has been predicated on. It's finding that opening, it's surviving long enough until it's created, and then exploiting the shit out of it and getting out of Dodge. And it works. You know, and I think to a degree it works here. What makes this interesting, though, is that, you know, again, it wasn't Worldwide Underground. I mean, first it was a low blow from Johnny, so he straight up cheated. Then he wanted to use a title belt, but then Ray got help from Dominic. And... you know, Dominic shoved Mundo and they got into it. I think he even did like a takedown to him and got some punches, and then security, you know, bumbling around and stuff, chased Dominic off. But then Ray was able to capitalize off that, get the, the 619 and then the springboard frog splash. But then Cueto pulls the ref out, which again, referring back to the cinematic, it's hard to be against Cueto because, I mean, all the things that preceded that 619 and the springboard frog splash would certainly constitute as unfair under any umbrella. So Cueto's probably thinking, oh shit, Mundo's going to walk out of here. And so, you know, he does that. And then he even tries hitting Ray, which I'm like, okay, was that really necessary? But then we know that Matanza wants a piece of Ray. And we know that Ray has kind of been a thorn in the side of the Cueto family. Because let's also remember, he came to the temple in the first place to avenge the death of the original El Dragon Azteca, which Black Lotus caused. But who influenced Black Lotus? Dario Cueto. So we're seeing like all these threads converge now with the relationship between Ray and the Cueto family at large. And they reach this kind of, I don't want to say crescendo necessarily, because I don't think we've reached the crescendo yet, but we've definitely reached a higher point now in this. And did he get the 619 on Cueto? Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but he wasn't able to follow up because of Mundo.
Exactly, because then he tries getting back in the ring. Mundo clocks him in the back of the head with the title, gets the end of the world, and in one match, even though it devolved into chaos, you furthered the Ray Matanza feud, and really, again, at large, the Ray Cueto family feud, because he, again, is all about avenging the original Dragon Azteca and getting Azteca Jr. on a good path. And like all of that in some way comes back to the Cuetos. And you've made, in my mind, now I know, here's the thing. The very first Ultima Lucha, incredible main event with Puma and your boy Mil Muertes, because Mil is a fucking beast. Ultima Lucha Dos, wasn't too crazy about it, especially because Puma lost, so narratively I couldn't even really see the merit in that. The main event we've got here, it's funny, the first Ultima Lucha was your boy, and now at the next odd numbered Ultima Lucha Trace, my boy finally gets his shot at the big time, Mundo walking in as world champion against Prince Puma. This main event.
I gotta ask, man, how does it feel to have your favorite guy, #1 in the world of a promotion, walking into their biggest show of the year as their like primary world champion?
Oh, dude, here's the thing. I'd say I dream about him like doing it at a WrestleMania, but to me, this is even bigger because I love Lucha Underground so much more than I've loved the WWE really for the last several years. So this is huge. Like, this is...
Watching this show really is the best decision we've ever made, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Right, dude. Up there with like, oh, hey, let's move the podcast from iTunes to YouTube. And then, you know, the old, hey, John, you want to do a podcast together? Like, the top 3 best decisions we've ever made are right there.
Absolutely. Because, dude, here's the
thing.
And
then I'll put #4 being, hey, John, let's do more New Japan coverage this year.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Here's the thing, though, and not to get all maudlin on everybody because I feel like I do that every time. It's like an extended conversation. All sappy is what that means.
What was the word you used originally?
Maudlin. You know, it's.
I'm gonna Google that.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, as a Mundo fan for 10 years at this point, it is just amazing to see him finally doing this shit. Like, main eventing the biggest show of my favorite promotion right now against...
I was going to say, eat that, CM Punk.
I know, right, you fucking failure. But, you know, like, that's just... Him and Puma have incredible chemistry. Mundo's been there. And see, that's another thing, too. And again, my bias is clearly showing. Anybody can accuse me of it, and they'd be right to do so. But I feel like Mundo earned this. Like, he's been there since day one. So it's not like some WWE rejecter coming in there and immediately getting the main event spot. He had to work for this for 3 seasons. And I feel like they've told a great story with him, a story that really feels like it's culminated in him doing this because he's always believed himself to be worthy of all of this, but in a very arrogant way. So this is the biggest difference to me between a company like Lucha Underground and a company like Impact Wrestling, where a company like Impact Wrestling, a guy like Alberto El Patron can come in and win the title like either the first night or the first month. And with Johnny Mundo, it took him 3 seasons to even taste the Lucha Underground title and the Ultima Lucha main event. Like, they gave him enough time where he didn't feel like a WWE guy anymore. They remade him into a Lucha Underground guy.
Yes. That, like, to me, that is, like, the biggest success story for Lucha Underground is that until Mundo won the title, everybody that held a title had never been a main, like, a consistently televised character on any other mainstream U.S. television wrestling show.
Right.
Like, it was Puma, who, I mean, we've never seen Ricochet in WWE or TNA, or I don't even think ROH, maybe there, but not as much. And then it went to Mil, who had a brief run in TNA, but he got completely repackaged in Lucha Underground to the point that even if you did know Judas Devlin or Judas Macias in TNA, you wouldn't even recognize him here in Lucha Underground. So they're going out of their way to sort of avoid having people be recognizable from working in other places. And then Phoenix, who is a AAA guy only, and then Sexy Star, who's a AAA girl only, and now Mundo. And it took, like you said, it took Mundo almost 3 full seasons. Not quite. It took like 2 seasons and like 13 or 14 episodes before he won the title. But still, like, that, the fact that they spent all that time building him and really just establishing him as like one of the OGs of Lucha Underground, I absolutely love that. Because you're right. He does feel like a Lucha Underground guy now more than he ever felt like a WWE guy to me.
Oh, yeah, well, because he's in the fold. Like, to me, in WWE, I always felt like he was on the outside looking in. Like, I remember, and just to date myself, when I was still pacifist, right? And we used to have a more
And
vibrant.
this was, just to kind of give people a timeline, this was like 2010, 2011-ish.
Exactly. So when I was like still pacifist and we had a more vibrant community than we do now, and by that I mean like we had voices that seemed bigger because I don't really know how many popular wrestling shooters there are now. Like I know we watch a few, but it doesn't really seem as big as like when I was pacifist.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the biggest wrestling channels right now are also some of the ones that we don't watch because we think they're obnoxious. So.
Exactly. But regardless, you know, back in my day, I remember when people were like, especially after Elimination Chamber like 2011, where it's like he dove off of the Elimination Chamber, and people would ask, what the hell does this guy have to do to win a world title or to main event a Mania? And I, of course, me as the Mundo Mark was asking that same question all the time, like, what the fuck does this guy have to do? So he always felt like an outsider looking in. I mean, my God, the last WrestleMania he had before he left was in a mixed tag with fucking Trish Stratus and Snooki of all people. And yeah. I mean, so was Dolph Ziggler, who at the time his stock was a lot higher too, but I digress. So yeah, he never felt like he was going to be one of those guys, ever. And, you know, he comes Lucha Underground, and even though he wasn't handed the title right away, looking at you again, GFW, he didn't need to because he main evented the first episode and he won. That was enough for me to say, like, oh, wow, you're taking what you have here very seriously. And all this time later now, after, to me, a very well fleshed out story, again, I loved how it culminated in season 3. I used to say that every live reactions up until he won the title. Like, it felt natural. It felt like the progression was never rushed or, you know, went astray. And now we're here at an Ultima Lucha Trace main event that really feels earned for Mundo. And he's got the perfect opponent because this is a guy he has such a history with. And I don't know, man. Like, I'm pumped for this. If anything can compete with Puma Muertes, who, again, I know Muertes is your boy, and the guy is a fucking beast. And that is a tough match to top. But if any match can top it, this is the one. This is absolutely the one. I cannot wait for this because whether Mundo wins or he loses or whatever the hell is going to happen, this is going to be the match I think that's really going to punctuate like his whole run as a heel, as world champion in Lucha Underground. Like, I did this with this guy at this stage, and it's just going to be incredible. So to answer your question, TLDR, I am elated this has happened for him, and it was worth the decade-long wait. I can tell you that right now, because I think people are really starting to see how great he fucking is. So about damn time.
Absolutely. That I couldn't have put it better myself. I'm so glad that you were able to really express yourself there. Do we have anything left to say about this show?
No, just that Dominic's a little bitch, and I hope he's holding his father and crying those sweet, sweet tears tonight. It's a shame I can't get a champagne glass under the eye, but I guess we all have to take a loss on the chin every now and then. So, with that said, let's move on to our next segment, high spots and low shots. And you know what, Ashley, I want to do it a little bit differently, because I'm a little long-winded there after that whole speech. How about you give your low shot first this week?
I mean, isn't it obvious? My low shot is Cortez Castro, a.k.a. Veneno, who was exposed and low-blowed.
Exposed! God, a lot of people lost their progeny tonight. Some good, some not so good. But yeah, Cortez, it's a rough night. And why I think you have the best low shot is because always for me personally, I never really like to look at things just in the context of one night, even though that is kind of the purpose of this whole segment. Like, his whole future has become a low shot now with being exposed. So I think that's an excellent pick, dude. I love it. Couldn't agree more. So I'm just going to go with the low shot I feel is best. Rey Mysterio. God, that just right on the palate. You failed, Ray, and now that Lucha Underground title that you unceremoniously held last week, as if you were doing some foreshadowing, really feeling yourself, oh, just one more week and this will be mine, you screwed yourself over. Because look, Cueto wouldn't have interfered if it wasn't for your son. So I know you're going to take that long drive back to your home. You know, I know your home is in the same area as Lucha Underground, but every drive feels like an eternity when you're a loser. And you're going to wonder, should I have really kept Dominic? Shouldn't I have just given him to somebody else because he's the reason why you're not a world champion? So not only are you a failure as a father, not only are you completely incompetent and impotent, so I've heard, as a husband, but, I mean, your son is just the worst piece of shit. Like, I just want you to know that, Ray. Your children are an utter disgrace. And the thought of them breathing, I'm going to be honest, it actually disgusts me. So enjoy being a failure now and for the remainder of your career. While Johnny Mundo goes on forever. While Johnny Mundo goes on to just be, well, twice the man that you could ever hope to be, both literally and figuratively. So, Ray, you're my low shot. Now, after that scrumptious banquet of agony, my friend, who is your high spot?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to top that. Just imagine, though, John, imagine, if you will, being Rey Mysterio and racing towards the podium that is an Ultima Lucha 3 main event as the Lucha Underground champion. And as you're running down this corridor that is the road to Ultima Lucha, you trip once and you realize, you know what? I'm not going to make it to the main event. I'm not going to make it to the championship, but I can still make it to Ultima Lucha. And you get back up, you pick yourself up, and you continue sprinting down this corridor, and you reach Ultima Lucha, and you open the door only to be met by the monster Matanza Cueto.
That's right. That's right. It's going to be delicious. So, with that in mind, I mean, you laid all that up. I'm guessing your high spot is somebody that won't have to worry about such a fate, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's not, because my high spot is the man who. And this is like a really good example of what you mentioned earlier with me, with my Cortez Castro pick for my low shot. This doesn't just look at tonight's episode, although it could be a good standalone high spot for tonight's episode if we did just want to look at it that way. This looks at, well, with Cortez, it was more looking at the future and how little of a future he has. But in this, I'm really looking to the past and how much of a build-up this night has had and how long we've waited and how many matches these guys have had to go through in the Cueto Cup. And finally, after going through, I want to say 5 other men, because my high spot being Prince Puma has had to go through Ricky Mandel, PJ Black, Dante Fox, Phoenix, and Pentagon Dark. And after going through all of those men, he has finally managed to win the Cueto Cup and earn his main event championship opportunity at Ultima Lucha 3 and ensure that he will have main evented every Ultima Lucha that he was on the Lucha Underground roster to be on.
Yeah, that is insane to think about. I mean, again, you can say what you want about the guy personally. Lord knows I have. But when you can say that, yeah, when I was with Lucha Underground, every big show that they'd have, being Ultima Lucha, I main evented every single one while I was there. If that doesn't make you look bulletproof, I don't know what does. The guy's a beast. I can never take that away from him, even if at times I would like to. And he won the Cueto Cup. He's the inaugural winner. And that's another thing, too. Not only are you going to main event every Ultima Lucha in your time there, but now every subsequent Cueto Cup, there can only be one first ever, right?
That's right.
And he got
every subsequent Cueto Cup. How about every subsequent Lucha Underground champion? There can only be one first ever.
Exactly, which was also Puma. And maybe that's why I'm so salty, because
it's like they invested everything in him and now he's just hightailing it out of there and insulting them on his way out.
Exactly. Like, it's not enough that you're hightailing it out of there. I'd feel a certain way then. But ultimately, I get it. I get what kind of business we're in when we talk about wrestling. But to go the extra mile and to dig the heel of your boot, the toe of your boot, into, like, the side of their ribs, like, they gave you everything. Like, you could go back to the origins of this promotion and all, like, and it's always going to have your name attached. Like, that is nuts to me. But yeah, I mean, to keep focused, because I don't want to go on any rants.
This is how I look at it, John. He lost the main event of episode 1. He lost the main event of season 1. He lost the main event of season 2. And I'm fully expecting him to lose the main event of season 3.
Man, I hope so. I'd love for Mundo to send him to the trash heap the same way he sent El Patron. But we shall wait and see. But yeah, I do agree. Your high spot's exceptional, which just leaves mine. which everybody should already know.
Yeah, this is what they call an alley-oop, people. I toss the basketball up in the realm of the backboard. John is jumping up, and he's going to grab it and slam dunk the shit out of it.
Exactly, because my high spot is Johnny fucking Mundo. I love that he beat you, Ray.
I thought you were just going to say, I love this man.
And that too. That too. You know, Taya's lucky that she's marrying him first, because, you know, sometimes I've wondered. Sometimes I go to sleep and I'm like, could my fan fiction ever? No, John, no, don't be ridiculous. But no, in all seriousness, he's brilliant. I'm glad he beat Ray, because they do have a storied history. I mean, you know, in their time in WWE, it was Mundo that ended Ray's Intercontinental title reign. Ray once beat Mundo. He got the winning pin on of him after that victory roll bomb in the AAA Lucha Libre World Cup. That was 2 years ago. And, of course, Mundo would win it back for Team Lucha Underground last year, pinning Pentagon. But, yeah, these guys have definitely gone back and forth. But when it really mattered, who got the win? Johnny Mundo. And no amount of stem cell therapy can fix that, can it, Ray? So Johnny got the win. More importantly, though, putting Ray in the past where he firmly belongs, we can now focus on what actually matters. Mundo main eventing his very first Ultima Lucha against a man he has insane chemistry with. This is why he stuck around, people. This is why he didn't go to WWE just to be relegated to 205 Live. Fuck 205 Live. It is all about Ultima Lucha Trace, Johnny Mundo, Lucha Underground, 444 life. And he is my high spot tonight. So with that said, partner, do you have any concluding remarks?
I mean, the ironic thing is Johnny Mundo is over 205 pounds.
Exactly. So you're asking him then with that deal to what? Slim down to lose all of that glorious muscle so that he could be a part of your fucking 3-ring circus that he should own by right?
So that he can show up, work his ass off, steal the show, and then lose to Enzo Amore.
I feel like we're also speaking about Neville in that context, given the way the future.
Yeah, we really are.
But yeah,
the difference is Neville fits in with the cruiserweight division because he's like, 5'10", whereas Mundo's a good like 6'1".
Exactly. Look, this man, all right, is an actual superstar, a main event attraction, which is why he's main eventing Ultima Lucha Trade. God, every time I say that, I get such a hard on. It's amazing. It's amazing. Like, I could have pumped something out at least 10 different times in this recording, but I haven't because I'm a professional. But yeah.
I'm a professional, damn it, even though I talk about my hard-ons in recordings.
Look, my Swanson needs constant attention, okay, and enjoys the limelight. A lot like Johnny Mundo with the Lucha Underground title. Oh, God. But yeah. Life is good. Life is good right now. I mean, Johnny Mundo's champion. Ray isn't. His son probably isn't even his son. So all is really right with the world right now. And if you have anything to say, I'll take us home because I'm
do it. Just take us home. I'm not topping that. Just go.
All right, guys. With that said, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been.
Actually, I take that back. I do have something to say that's completely irrelevant to everything you were just talking about. Ready?
Sure.
What was your record predicting the Cueto Cup? I went 25-6.
Oh, dude, I did horrible. We're just going to say that you won because I don't even have it in me to pull up. Remember, I transferred computers, so I don't even have my bracket anymore. So,
oh, yeah. No, you know what? That's it. We got to do some detective work. We got to go back and listen to our Cueto Cup bracketology and figure out who all you picked and figure out who all I picked and figure out what our picks were and figure out what your record was.
Dude, I guarantee you. I mean, we can do the looking because I know nothing will stop you. But I guarantee you did better than I did. Like I'm not even in the game. You understand? Like I'm not even questioning it. Like, oh, did I? No, you did better than I did. It's kind of like Ray when he wakes up questioning, did I win the title tonight? No, and honestly, it wasn't even close. And to be honest, I know.
I mean, it came close a couple times, but yeah.
Well, Ashton, let's not dig into what Ray's wife tells him in the bedroom. You know, let's just keep it in actual ring where it belongs. You know, and that's just it. Like in that instance, between my Cueto Cup picks, I pulled a Rey Mysterio. Except unlike Ray, I am ashamed of myself. Like because I know I'm better. Whereas Ray's just like, No, I'm still the king. Yeah, fucking fool is what you are. But, you know, regardless, God, I just really want to keep bullying Ray. Can I do that for like 30 more minutes? No, we got other stuff to do. But regardless, yeah, you definitely won the
Yeah, we do, because we're going to watch more Iron Fist.
Yeah, which is better than all you fucking haters were. Oh, this is the weakest Marvel series. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm really enjoying it because I'll be honest.
I mean, here's the thing, dude. I won't go as far as to disagree with it being the weakest Marvel series, but that doesn't mean it's not quality. It's still good.
Here's the thing. It'll be the weakest Marvel series based on the second half because I'm going to say something that may be unpopular. I loved Luke Cage's first half. Didn't care so much for the second half. So yeah. I'm waiting for out the second half of Iron Fist because I love the original villain, right? And I even love that the sister.
Yes.
And then like villain.
Yeah, you're talking about the guy that was played by Cottonmouth. I don't remember what the name of the actor was.
Yeah, I don't remember the actor's name either. And dude, that one scene. My last Johnny Scumbag moment of the night. I can't hold it back anymore. I've done too many scummy things tonight. That one scene. Spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen it yet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That one scene where he beats the shit out of the kid in front of the Big E photo was fucking hilarious. I am like, yes, Cottonmouth, unleash that dominance.
I think my favorite scene in that whole series, other than obviously the Luke Cage going into the gigantic building and just taking on all that gunfire and ripping pipes out of walls to beat people with and stuff, like that scene was incredible. But I think my next favorite scene is the roof scene.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, like, Cottonmouth was well on his way because they always say that, like, Marvel has a villain problem. And, like, Cottonmouth was well on his way to being, like, my favorite Marvel villain. I still think he has that stature.
We had to bring in Luke Cage's brother, apparently.
And that's when it took it because I'm like, Cottonmouth was so fucking good. And the sister, I think, has the potential to be great. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, she's going to need time, whereas then they just kind of get the brother in, and I don't know. It just all kind of fell apart for me. But yeah.
Oh, you mean the sister as in the
Cottonmouth sister?
Like, yeah, Cottonmouth sister. Okay.
Yeah, I think she has the potential to be great. And I will give Luke Cage credit for this. Like, that scene that you mentioned where he has all the gunfire, like, Luke Cage, even with that one song, kind of brought in my hip-hop taste because that made me aware of, like, Wu-Tang Clan. Bring the motherfucking ruckus. You know, so good. But yeah, like, I'd say Luke Cage is my least favorite, only for the second half exclusively. We'll see how Iron Fist goes, though, because right now it's going really well. But
let's get back to Lucha Underground.
Yeah, let's get back to Lucha, which really is pretty much the same thing, because everything is just fucking excellence in this universe. Yeah, this has been Lucha.
I'm telling you, man, I always, anytime anybody says, like, oh, how would you describe Lucha Underground? What makes Lucha Underground different? My go-to explanation is Lucha Underground is the Marvel Cinematic Universe with wrestling matches instead of fight scenes.
Exactly. So for this Marvel Cinematic experience of the hero Johnny Mundo triumphing over Rey Mysterio, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW. The best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-writer and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for Lucha Underground reviews on YouTube. So please leave that like. For everybody that's a fan of our Lucha Underground content, you can find all of our playlists in the description box. If you're a newbie to Lucha Underground, we're the best resource on the internet. I guarantee you that. If you're a seasoned Lucha Underground watcher and maybe you just want to relive some of your favorite moments, like our live reactions to the very first Ultima Lucha, for instance, it's all right there in the All Lucha Underground Content Ever playlist. So please check that out.
Or our live reactions to the Matanza debut. Or your live reaction to Johnny Mundo winning every title he's ever held in Lucha Underground. That's all on tape and available on the YouTube channel.
Which is all of them because he's the second ever Triple Crown champion. So yeah, guys. All right,
yeah, there. Lucha Underground needs to introduce a fourth title so that Johnny can win it before Phoenix.
Exactly. Fuck Phoenix. Sorry. But
first ever Grand Slam champion. That means so much more.
Yeah, Grand Slam Phoenix's face is the breakfast at Denny's. And now, all of TWitWoW's media in the description box. Check out our Twitter. Check out our Facebook. Everything's right there. Two things I want to plug, guys. First and foremost, the Teespring. We have a Braun Strowman inspired shirt. I'm not finish with you. So if you're not finished with any obstacle, any person, much like I'm not finished bullying Rey Mysterio and his possible maybe not son, you're going to want to get that shirt just to let everybody know what a badass you are. I think it's great. And if that's not your thing, if maybe you're not feeling Braun Strowman, maybe you're more of a Kevin Owens fan and you want to tell everybody, because I'm a father, damn it. And we have that t-shirt for you in the Teespring as well. If you just want to show your support for TWitWoW, say, hey, I'm a TWitWoW guy or I'm a TWitWoW girl, those shirts as well. Or if you're like me and you just, God, you love laughing at the misfortunes of others and picking away at the scabs known as complexes of other human beings and just bullying the shit out of them. We have some quality Scum Squad merch for you. It's all in the Teespring. Check it out. Also, the Patreon. One thing I want to plug, the Discord. Discord is the best thing we are offering right now. $3 a month for the most intimate TWitWoW access. You get on the Discord, you get to talk Raw with us, you get to talk SmackDown with us. I was telling some people about me binging Kenta matches recently. A binge, by the way, folks, that's still going and will be continuing throughout the week. And I get to share all that. They get to share their experiences. We get to talk games, music, everything, all in the Discord. All in the Discord. It's a great, really, it's a community of the most passionate TWitWoW fans. Again, only $3 a month. And the best part about that price point, you keep donating $3 a month, that accrues. So if you're a Discord member for 10 months, let's say, that's $3 a month for 10 months. That comes out to $30. You know what you can do with that? You can cash that in for a live reaction to a 3-hour show. I mean, now that's just fantastic to me. That's a win-win-win. So guys, get on the Discord. Check out the Patreon for the Discord offering, plus our other offerings. I think you'll find our pay tiers very agreeable. Now, the last thing I want to plug, as you noticed from my partner, he said, we got other stuff to do tonight. We got Iron Fist. We got all sorts of stuff. So there will not be an NXT review tonight. We're going to go on our little NXT hiatus for the next little bit. But tomorrow, 8 p.m., second installment of what's already my favorite TWitWoW series, 5 Fave 5. We're going to be doing our 5 favorite performers from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, New Japan, Lucha Underground, all the places that we cover. We're going to be doing 5 Fave 5. It's going to be awesome. It's really just a celebration of our fandom. That's why I love it so much. We go live at 8. You're going to want to be there, guys. It's amazing. So much fun. I can tell you my list has changed quite a bit from the first installment, and I'm curious how much Ashton's list has changed. I haven't talked to him about it, and I'm not going to. I want to be surprised. But, yeah, guys, it's going to be awesome. You're going to want to be there. Friday, I don't think we have anything. But Monday is huge, guys. Monday is huge because we begin our coverage of the Mae Young Classic. Very similar to our coverage of G1. We'll be going live at 3 with that. They've released the first 4 episodes from what I've been told, so that's going to be what we're covering, which means we'll still get out before Monday Night Raw airs, and we'll see how that all goes. And then, you know, beyond the regular coverage, you know, Wednesday being Lucha Night and all that, Thursday of that week is going to be Q&A. So you've got 8 days left, guys, for Q&A. You could submit questions through YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Discord if you're a member. Get your questions in. It's 4 questions per Q&A, and you can divvy them up however you want. I still got to get everybody's questions written down, but I was still getting questions even as late as today. So you've still got time. People are still submitting questions. You're not the odd person out. Let your voice be heard. And we'll see you guys for that Q&A on the 31st. So you got plenty of time. So, guys, that's the rundown. Again, no NXT review tonight. So we will see you tomorrow at 8 for 5 Fave 5, Episode 2. Until then, love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And tune in and peace out.